Hi everyone, I'm Catherine from Peace Etc. and I guide people who grew up in mentally and emotionally unstable homes to build their self-esteem and self-worth through inner child healing. So today I'll be talking about trust. That's an ongoing theme recently in my videos. This was inspired by a comment that was left on my video. And it's that, as we evolved, we learned that in order to survive, we have to listen to what the group is saying. And that made me think, disconnecting from our intuition, from what feels right to us individually, and swallowing whatever other people say in order to feel safe within. So relying on other people for a sense of safety and security. That's a survival mechanism and not something that is natural to us. As children, we rely on our parents to make us feel safe and secure. That's normal, But we don't know that our parents are safe and secure in themselves. We don't know where their information is coming from. It could be coming from their experience. We don't know what experience it's coming from. We don't know if what they're telling us is them listening to their intuition, whether it's coming from their intuition. As a young child, you may felt into whatever your parents were saying, and you may have thought, that doesn't sit right with me. But you may have ignored that and pushed yourself to trust whatever your parents are saying just to feel safe. And this can be about anything. This could be about needing an umbrella to go out because you feel like it's going to start raining soon. But your parents are saying, no, we don't need an umbrella. And then it rains, for example. Literally, this can apply to anything. And it can apply for quote unquote good things as well. Your parents are saying, oh yeah, I don't think this will happen, but you really want it to happen, but you have a feeling like it's going to happen. And then it happens. So, examples aside, when I was little, I felt very connected to my feelings, to my intuition. But at a certain point, I began to stifle them. I began to disconnect from my own intuition and started swallowing whatever my mom said as truth, making them my truth in order to feel safe. I did ask a lot of questions, and I was quite the individual, as very independent as a kid, and I would ask why to whatever my mom would say. And at a certain point, I think this must have been after that one traumatic incident where I began to take on the role of caregiver for my mom to make her feel safe and secure no matter what, sacrificing myself. So it must have been after that, but I began observing her whenever I would ask why to whatever she would tell me to do or whatever she says is the right thing. Whenever I felt kind of no, I don't think so. And I would pose questions to see her perspective and just to exchange. I think it was coming from an innocent place, but I would see that she was annoyed, that she was tired, or I would feel a disconnect from her emotionally, then I would get scared. And so I learned that instead of posing myself to experience unsafety by trusting my feelings and speaking up for myself and being in my own power, staying connected to my internal guidance system and to my intuition, I learned to ignore that and do what was safe, which was to just listen to my mom and make her truth or whatever she's saying as my truth. And this is also backed up by the home environment that I grew up in. My dad tended to just follow or to make whatever my mom was saying his own in order to feel safe and secure. And so the dominant person in my household, in terms of what was quote unquote right and what was quote unquote wrong, the person who had the say in that was my mom. That was the dynamic at home. And this isn't to say that my mom wanted it that way, it was just the way it was. She didn't need it to be that way, but it just was. And so I became scared to speak up and to start following my own guidance system. I was quite lost from what really my intuition was. And my intuition was still there. I could connect with it, especially during like dire, extreme circumstances. But my mom as well, she doesn't really feel safe with within herself and with other people too. And she didn't feel safe in her home growing up. My dad as well, he didn't feel safe in the home that he grew up in. He didn't feel safe with his parents and with people. So together, they were both feeling unsafe and yet trying to create safety. And that was by oftentimes supporting what my mom said was truth. For my dad to relinquish his power and say, you know what your mom say, like that's right, that made him feel safe. And for my mom to be supported, like in whatever she was saying as the truth, that made her feel safe and secure. So that was just kind of how things went. Instead of allowing multiple perspectives and not going off of like who's right and who's wrong and allowing individuality, it was like one person is right, but the other person is wrong. So variety wasn't supported in my household. Not blaming my dad or my mom, it's just what it was, you know? But I think as we're evolving as humans, our family structure changes. Our dynamic changes. And it's changing at the moment. Parents are becoming more open to doing the work, going within. And because of that, they're opening up more to their intuition. And their minds are opening. I've met parents who have openly told me that they learn so much from their kids and that their kids know much more than they do. It's like they have different experience, you know? I think this societal norm of like parents being authority figures and authoritative, that's crumbling right now. Because adults are seeing how wise kids can be, and kids are, the wisdom that kids come with, and how connected to their feelings and their intuition they are. And adults want to be that too. They were once very connected, but they can forget depending on what happens to them growing up. So, you know, like for me, I grew up in Japan, and the stereotypical image of old school family systems was that one figure having control over the family, one figure who dictates what is right and what is wrong and what is true and what's not true. That's usually the dad, but in my case, it was the mom because my family's very unique. And I think that's crumbling. Of course, in human years, parents exceed their kids, right? Parents have more experience than their children. But I think we're starting to move to a time where like parents and kids aren't having a struggle for power. And they're not seeing like one above the other. I think before though, the old way of family, like family system, old family system, was parents are above their kids because they have much more experience being here, life experience. Of course, life experience is precious, right? But it's not everything, and that doesn't make you better than another person, even your kids. I think we're coming to an age of like seeing eye to eye with your kids and being equal. Parents and kids are both valuable. And there's this like letting go of power dynamics, like power struggle, because parents are learning to be in their power individually as a couple. And if it's a single parent, then as an individual. And if you have multiple partners, then multiple, you know what I'm saying. And then kids too have an environment where they can be in their power. They can stay connected to their internal guidance system, their intuition, and act from a place of like feeling in to their intuition, and then from there choosing what to do. So they get to stay in their power and parents get to stay in their own power. So I think it's like changes are happening in a way where it's a win-win for both kids and parents. Control comes from fear and pushing your opinion on other people and not being open to answer questions or to talk about it. That can come from a place of fear, right? And I think there was a lot of pressure before on parents, even now too. I'm not a parent, so I can't speak for parents, but kids look up to their parents. So parents feel like parents must feel like, and this is me empathizing, like that they need to know everything in order for their kids to feel safe. But parents don't need to know everything for the kids to feel safe. And actually, like pushing your truth onto a child and not being open to questions or to seeing things from the children's perspective can make a child more unsafe. So it can do more harm than good. I think there's an actor. I think acceptance of parents themselves as on the parents' part as like them being imperfect beings, like and not knowing everything and having the answers to everything, and that being okay as a parent. So more tolerance for parents. I think that's essential for this change to happen within themselves and as a society, and I think it's already happening. And as parents accept themselves more, then that creates a positive ripple for the kids. They can start not feeling the pressure to accept whatever their parents are saying. They don't feel like if I don't accept whatever my parents are saying, then I'm not going to feel loved or I'm not going to feel valued or accepted. They're going to say, okay, well, my parents, they're going to be able to see that no matter whether I accept what my parents are saying as truth or not, my lovability or my value isn't going to change. My parents will still love me. I think I was really scared as a child that like if I didn't accept whatever my mom was saying as truth, that I would still be loved and accepted. I fear abandonment so much that this fear persisted until adulthood. And I thought that me not accepting what my mom was saying was me not accepting her. And so it was a tough lesson, like to separate the two, to untangle the two. I didn't know that I could still love and respect someone and still not accept everything that they were saying. I thought the way I grew up what I learned from my home environment was that if you love somebody, you gotta accept everything that they say. Everything that they say must be right. Yeah, that's it. Like, you gotta accept everything that whoever you love is saying as right because that's love. I learned that, but that's not true. You know, you can love somebody to bits, to death, but they can still say things or do things that you don't resonate with. And that's not true for you. And that's okay. Love without conditions. There's no condition when you love someone and still allow for differences, then that's unconditional. You're still trusting yourself and allowing yourself to feel into things and choosing what to believe, what not to believe, choosing what to do, what not to do. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, that's unconditioned, but you living with conditions that you learned in order to be loved and accepted, to feel safe and secure, would be I rely on this person for love and acceptance, for security and safety. So I'm just gonna ignore my truth, ignore what's coming up for me. I'm gonna ignore my intuition and what it's saying, and I'm just gonna take whatever they're saying and make it my own. But you're not really safe. What if the other person changes, right? Their opinion, perspective changes. Then you're going to get rid of that and then take that. Take whatever is new for them. You're constantly like insecure because you're relying on them to make you feel safe. Part of growing up is shedding and letting go of old ways that you learned how to be safe. And this is one way. This is one way that I learned how to let go of getting safety by just accepting whatever my mom was saying and making it my own. And it was really cool once I started like once I untangled the two. I love my mom dearly, and yet there are moments where I disagree with her, and I can say that, and I can just be comfortable in that, and that was so cool. And I could, if I wanted to, open up to see things from her perspective. And if I didn't want to, then I just wouldn't. Because, like, even if I wanted to, our family lacked communication. So open conversations didn't really happen. So, you know, even as I unlearned this, I wish we could talk in ways that we saw different perspectives more, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm learning to do that with other people too. To love others and yet allow for individual differences because we're not the same. We're all very unique people, and that's okay. I didn't know that as a child though. And now too, like now that we're talking about opinions and differences, now that I'm trusting my feelings and I'm connected to my intuition and my inner guidance I'm system, I'm more open to like letting go of old ways of seeing things and adopting new and doing that constantly as I evolve and being open to others having new perspectives because I'm being open to that myself. It really like whatever changes and shifts you go through, like and the more open you become and more like the less rigid you become within yourself, the more you allow and accept yourself, then the more you do that in the external world for other people and for life as well. It kind of just translates into your outer life, becomes your internal world being reflected in your external world. I'm going to see if there's anything more I want to say. Yeah, with this, like, my intention is never to blame or to attack any parents, if any parents are watching this. We all grow up in whatever environment we grow up and learn to be safe in ourselves, or to learn how to attain safety in ways that aren't necessarily healthy, or that actually doesn't make you feel safe. And that can impact other people. But the more safe we can become in ourselves and secure we can become in ourselves, the more that's going to create positive ripples for other people to become safe within themselves. I'm not saying everyone's going to take that and do the work to become safe in themselves. They might rely on you for safety, but I've found that more often than not, like, you finding that safety within and exuding that safety creates a sense of safety for the other person, and they go and do that themselves. Like, they find ways to become more safe in themselves. And for people that just come to you for safety but aren't doing the work, it's an energetic thing. So you become able to tell, and you just respond to that. It's up to you what you want to do with it, whether you want to stay or go. Again, trust your feeling and what your intuition is telling you about anything. And your guidance system is always trying to communicate with you. So you already know within what you want to do. Okay. I hope I was able to cover what I wanted to cover. I have a feeling that this is good. And that this gives hope for new family structures and how you can bring new dynamics into your life through becoming safe and secure in yourself as well. If there's any comments, if you have any comments, if you have anything you want to say or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this whole video, if you're here till the end. And thanks for stopping by anyways. And I'm really grateful that you're here. Sending you the best luck and all the best on your journey.